Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April meeting of the Washington County Quorum Court Finance and Budget Committee meeting. We will start tonight with J.P. Pond leading us in prayer and the pledge. You want to key your mic, J.P. Pond?
Thank you, Heavenly Father. It's a blessing to be here in service to the people of Washington County. We pray as we conduct business here this evening that we would, what we say and do, we'd mind you in our behavior. We would mind you that act in a way that would be pleasing to you, the choices and decisions we make and our conduct. And in this way, it be fair to the people we represent. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, J.P. Pond. Are there any changes to the agenda? Have a motion to adopt the agenda by J.P. Ecke and a second by J.P. Dean. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So the agenda is adopted. Start with item number 4, Treasurer's Report. Treasurer Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Court. 4.1. First off, as always, general fund. Revenues did come over expenditures. Most of that was the assessor paying $2.9 million for his 2024 expenses. 2000 road expenditures were a little bit over revenues, the same way with the jail fund. But not bad. It's all the big three funds balances are real good at this moment. At the end of this report, we began with $96 million in the bank, ended with $92 million. And that's going to continue to go down the more of this federal money and stuff we spend. We will get a big jump next month because of the April taxes they're collecting right now. So 4.2, the ARPA report. Only 3 funds still active: the COVID mitigation, the EOC engineering, and the EOC construction. All of them had a little bit of activity. We got $11,859,000 still in that fund. 4.3, the 1-cent sales tax. These are January collections. 841,000 came in. Another good month, 6.5% over last year at this time. For the year, we're at 7.5%. If you look at the top of that report, 16.41 is in parentheses. Right under it is 16.26. That is our new share because Fayetteville annexed 312 people from Washington County this past, I'm not sure when they did, and I'm not sure where it's at, but 312 people were, I'm assuming they did a neighborhood on the outskirts and brought them into the city. So since the census, that's 512 citizens we lost as a county, and that probably equals around 130,000 a year. That's a very approximate. So the census, we were 40,497. We're now 39,985 population. And 4.4, the quarter-cent jail tax. Another very good month, almost 8% increase. Almost 1.3 million came in, and for the year, just 3 months in, we're 334,000 above last year. And that is all I have.
Any question for Treasurer Hill? Thank you, Treasurer Hill.
Thank you.
Item number 5, Employee Insurance Report. Mr. Angel.
Good evening. right, I'll start with the cash flow. I'll give a brief update on January, as we didn't get to that in last month's, but a high level, January was a fairly solid month. We were about $10,000 under where we were year over year. Spent about I'm getting ahead of myself, $595,000 in January, where the year before in 2024, January, we were at 606. So we were trending in the right direction. You'll see employee and county funding for January was $579,000. So we were fairly close on our total cost minus funding. As we move forward into February, we were not quite so lucky. Our drug cost actually trended down a little bit, which is a good sign because we've been seeing drugs trend upward. But our medical claims went from $283,000 in January to $642,000. So what we had there was, some larger operations, surgeries, some more ICU stays. The only good news about that is frequently when we see pharmaceuticals going up, someone's going to be on that particular injectable or pill for quite some time. Sometimes when it's just a medical spike, you have some surgeries, some hospital stays, but those things are acute and they go away, and hopefully we don't have to continue to pay those month over month. So that's maybe the silver lining, but definitely not great news in February, where we had $581,000 in funding, and we had about $920,000 in total expense. Not the worst month we've seen. In the last 12 months, we've had a couple that were worse, including September of last year, but definitely not a good month. What it boils down to is we do have high utilization. There's not a lot we can do to control claims. We're trying as best we can to find ways to mitigate claims. On the 23rd of this month, we're going to meet with the Chief of Staff, the Comptroller, and the HR Department. We're looking at ways to cut our costs on GLP-1s, still providing the same amount of drugs, but hopefully getting a lower price on the GLP-1s. They're very expensive. They work, right? That's why we have a lot of folks on them. They work. But we're trying to find a way to purchase those at a cheaper rate, as well as provide something for employees to hopefully help them get on some programs where they no longer need the GLP-1s. Will it work for everyone? No. But if we can get some folks at a target weight and get their A1C down where they no longer need those GLP-1 meds, we're hoping that will improve quality of life for employees and reduce spend as well. I don't have silver bullets for you guys, but I want you to know that we are looking at different programs to try to do both those things. Give the employees better quality of life and reduce the spend for the county.
Any questions from Mr. Angel? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 6, Comptroller's Report. Mr. Sherman?
Good evening. See what the reports here is first. Okay, the summary of operations. There's nothing that stands out to me on that report. Basically, we're 25% through the year. So if you go down there, the actual use, there's not any real outliers. The ones that are like small accounts, and they're usually one-time pays. So we've already paid those bills. The EOC construction is kind of off there in the encumbrances, but that'll catch up because those encumbrances were spent, and then we're going to put more money, hopefully, in the ordinance tonight. So is there any questions on this report? So next report is the unappropriated reserve balance, and basically those are the ordinances that you voted on last month. The EOC, the $200,000 out of the reserve fund there was the big one, and then $789 out of the jail fund for jail projects. Right now we have $3.9 million in the unappropriated reserve for the general fund, so that's pretty good. So that's basically, after we do a holdback and all the money in the projections, people put in their budgets, and then that's what we could have went up to. So that's basically where we can go up to right now, so on the books. Does anybody have any questions before we talk about the talking paper? Which kind of goes along with that subject. So basically, working capital is your current liabilities, what you have in the bank, your current assets minus your current liabilities. So can you meet your current liabilities? So you see there our cash balance, which Treasurer Hill just showed you. On the 31st, it was 18 million. And then there you see the average monthly expenses. I did do 24 versus 25 because 25 is only 3 months, and sometimes 3 months can be skewed because we pay a big bill or something like that. So basically, we're holding 4.7 months or 5.2 months, depending on what year you look at, in reserves, which is pretty good. I mean, most businesses don't hold that kind of working capital in the bank. They either put it to work or invest it or whatever. We do have money in interest-bearing accounts, so we do have it invested. The GFOA, which I sort of follow, they recommend that you hold 2 months in the account. So the reason why I'm telling this is what I want to do when we fund things, I want to use the unappropriated reserves and try to maintain that, I want to maintain the savings account of $15 million. So I'd like that to grow, and don't touch it. You know, if we can just use what we have on the budget, just keep using that. So that's why tonight in the ordinance, we're requesting that the $500,000 come out of the unappropriated reserves of the general fund. And then I did include the road and the jail maintenance there, just because those I consider our other 2 big missions. And we're looking good as far as that goes, because we got over 3.5 months is the lowest one we have. So we're looking good as far as, you know, capital in the bank. So what I'm trying to get across is we're in a good financial position as we're coming into some of these big projects that we're, you know, funding. Is there any questions on those concepts?
J.P. Lenning?
The one question I'd like to know is, where do we think we're going to go with the EOC? Is it going to be 1.2, 1.8?
Well, right now, worst case scenario, and I can jump back up here when we talk about the actual ordinance, but the worst case scenario would be 1.9. I talked to the commissioner today, and he's under budget and ahead of schedule. He didn't want to tell me exactly how much ahead of budget because, of course, you know, he likes to keep that in his pocket. But he is very confident that the EOC is 1 month ahead of schedule and under budget. And it'll be about
Okay, when you say under budget, what's the original budget?
The original budget, when we first talked about it, was we were going to have to fund $2.8 million out of the general fund or some other source. And now it's looking like it's going to be the general fund. So we got that additional $1 million back from Upskill. They couldn't use that. You guys appropriated immediately to the EOC.
Right.
So that's basically why it dropped it to 1.9 million. Some of the costs too, from the original estimate in 23, when they came and gave us, it was like 8.2 million was the original probable cost. Of course, prices went up. So when they did it, it was about 8.8 when they gave us the actual cost.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I will say that with it coming under budget, it might go back to that 8.2 million. So we're looking at basically 1.9 million out of general fund, yeah. Yeah, if you,
J.P. Ecke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Refresh my memory. Are there any grants being applied for right now to go towards this project?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so for the building, and it's not until after?
What's that?
It's not, I'm sorry. It's not until after, I guess, the completion of the building that they
Yeah,
would
if there
probably-
is grant money, and of course, you know, that money's tight, being scrutinized right
is.
now at the national level, so,
Yay. You know,
yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Item 7 is an ordinance appropriating $20,000 from the unappropriated reserves in the general fund to the quorum court budget. And what this is for is the Washington County Conservation District was paid out of the environmental department's budget. Well, we got rid of the environmental department in their budget, right? But I think there's still need for the Washington County Conservation District. You have in your packet a report from things that they did last year, because they've been doing this for quite a while. We also have Mr. Shoemate, who is the chairman of the board, and Ms. Overton, who's a resource conservationist from Washington County, if you want to come up and, yes, sir.
Good evening. I would like to introduce myself and see that Sarah and I are here. A lot of you are new and don't know what we do, so I would like to take a short opportunity to explain what we do and why it's important to keep us around. I'm a Elkins School and U of A graduate, third generation farmer, and mostly with beef cattle and poultry. And the most important lesson that I've learned in my 74 years of being around is shut the gates on your farm, rotational graze, and when I learned that, and it was a good ways along when I learned that, but we've doubled the production on our farm. And this is a message that I feel like all farmers and everybody needs to know. And we have a 5-member board that's elected from the countywide. We're various interests and backgrounds. We've got a lawyer. We've got a fellow that his wife is at the farmer's market. Other things. We try to diversify ourselves so that we can know what's going on and we get out. I've been in the Cattlemen's Association for a long time, was chairman there for 9 years. But we're able to get out and by circulating out in the county, we're able to make ourselves aware of problems that are happening and we can try to address those. The district was started in 1940 with a legislative action, and the primary purpose at that time was for flood control and erosion control. And it's evolved over the years for different things. Currently, the district, in cooperation with NRCS, which is a federal agency that we work with, we're bringing in from $1 to $1.2 million a year that's coming in, and through EQIP and other programs, it's being distributed to the farm, the people here. That's just money that they don't have to pay back. It's grants. They don't have to pay back, and they can use it to improve their place. The board oversees the office and hires someone to manage the day-to-day operations that we expect them to do. That includes farm plans and dirt digging and cleaning up the trash rack out at Kenyon Lake. And she's also in charge of beaver control, and she's very good at it. The district participates in outreach operations such as farm friends and a beekeeping training, and we cooperate with the Illinois River Group and the Beaver Lake Group. And we've been receiving this money since 1960, when Bruce Kreider was the county judge. And we're not asking for more money. We simply want what we've been getting restored, and we'll be happy. I'd like to introduce Sarah Overton. She is our district conservationist, and let her explain a little bit more about the farm plans and some of the things that she does. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having myself and Mr. Shoemate here tonight. I'm Sarah Overton. I'm the resource conservationist at the Washington County Conservation District. I assumed this role in January of 2024. I received a call that the position was open. I had previously worked at the district. They asked what I was up to. I said I was languishing away behind a corporate desk and was very excited to get back into public service. So I came back to the district, have enjoyed every minute of being back and getting the opportunity to work with the landowners, the private, the farmers, as well as just the participants in the local NRCS programs that we have in operation here in the county. Most of my days are spent, well, I'd say it's probably about 50-50, half of the time in the office, half the time out in the field, visiting local landowners, visiting their operations, typically collecting soil samples and data to prepare them a 5-year farm plan. This is due to, of course, our watershed concerns with the Illinois River watershed and the White River watershed being nutrient surplus areas in the state of Arkansas, meaning anyone wishing to apply nutrients as fertilizer containing phosphorus means that you do need a 5-year nutrient management plan on record, which is my one of my primary goals, or one of my primary responsibilities. Thank you. I do a lot of community outreach. I'd say I talk to 3 to 4 Washington County landowners a day. I want to build a pond. I need to address this erosion issue. I had 35,000 chickens die last night. Where can I bury them? A lot of just issues that need to be addressed, and I'm ready to help. We also do oversight and responsibility for some of the earthen dams available in Washington County, most particularly Kenyon Lake Dam, which is in the Illinois River watershed, the Muddy Fork, which was originally built for sediment control back in 1960, as Mr. Shoemate mentioned, and we have been assuming responsibility for it, for management of weed control, spillway. I was out there yesterday checking on the flooding, how much cleanup I have to look forward to now to go and remove several logs from the spillway, but all in all, it stood up very, very well to the flood event that we had earlier this week. So I guess I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. So I again just want to thank you all for letting us come and represent ourselves. And if there are any questions, of course, I would love to answer those for you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. J.P. Ecke?
Just one quick comment. The soil samples that you provide is so valuable. It really is. And the services that you are providing, you're not taking up this court's time. What you're doing is really providing a service to those out in the county. There are those that want to start a home garden. And the first thing they need to do is get a soil sample. And they don't know how to do it, and what do you do? And so your services are valuable, and I wanted to say thank you. And thank you for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you.
J.P. Lopez?
Hi, It's more of an idle curiosity, but of the grants that you all give out, or if I'm correct, it's facilitated through you guys, how much of that goes to like stream bank or riverbank restorations? Does that fall within the scope of what you all do?
So the grants that are facilitated through the district are through the NRCS, Natural Resources Conservation Service. They come through from the federal level down through the state and in through all these fantastic little tubes of financial movement. And I believe they do have grants for stream bank restoration projects. It's typically an issue of where they are ranked by the NRCS staff and when they get picked up on kind of a rolling basis. But yes, stream bank restoration is within the scope of their overall. How would I say it?
It's in their purview, right? It's just something that they.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, that does answer my question.
JP Lemming?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you for everything y'all do, because I've worked with y'all for about 30 years on my chicken farm, and all of us knows all the chicken farmers around this Washington County. Every one of them has to have a nutrient management plan, every farmer. And the farmers that puts litter on has to have a nutrient management plan. It all goes through these folks. These folks work hard. They'll come out to your farm, and different languages. They work with a lot of Laotians, and they work with any farmer that owns a farm, these folks work with them. They have to, because you can't get chickens if you don't have a nutrient management plan. And I've worked with them on the Kenyon Lake project. My construction company has to, been out there before to fix the stuff that she's talking about and this stuff. And this group does a lot of good things for Washington County. And they deserve every penny they're getting. They actually deserve more money than they're getting. So, that said, I'm gonna make a motion to send this to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you. Any other discussion? JP Ricker?
Does this need to go into the quorum court budget, or should it go into another line item?
Well, I think right now, it's the intent is to put it in the quorum court, and we'll just pay it out of the quorum court budget. It's a vehicle by which to get it paid.
Okay.
JP Lemming?
With that said, budget time, we can probably work on it in a different manner.
No, agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed. Any other discussion? Okay, so I have a motion to pass it on to the full quorum court with the due pass recommendation by JP Lemming, a second by JP Dean. All those in favor, aye? Aye. All those opposed? It will be passed on to the full quorum court. Item 8 is an ordinance appropriating $500,000 from the unappropriated reserves in the general fund to the EOC Construction Project Fund budget for 2025. Any motion or any discussion? Any additional information, Judge or Comptroller Sherman?
Yeah, I can give you some clear numbers. So, right now, the cost of the EOC sits at $8.8 million. So we've had 3 ordinances, one for architecture and engineering, which was $1 million, and then in 23, that was in 23, and another one in 23 for 4.85. That was actually ARPA money to go straight to the EOC. And then the third ordinance was the money that just came back from Upskill. So basically, the cost is $8.8 million, and $6.85 million is coming out of ARPA, and 1.9/2 is coming from general fund. So far, we've spent about $3 million in ARPA. That's where we are right now, and $200,000 out of the general fund. Now that $500,000, they say that we'll probably spend in about 2 months because they're moving so fast. The reason why we have to do it is because the way Treasurer Hill had to report the federal money, he had to say, these vendors are getting this, these vendors are getting this, to the actual vendor. So if there's vendors doing something on the EOC that was not reported in the federal portal, they're gonna fall into that $1.9 million. So that's why it's being broke out like that. the way we have to report it. That's really where we stand right now. Like I said, we're 30 days ahead of schedule and under budget, so if there's any additional questions, I can attempt to answer.
J.P. Ecke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we pass this on to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation.
Any other discussion? J.P. Lemon?
I was gonna ask Paul, would it be easier if we amend this and move it on up to $1 million? Would that help anything, or would that hurt the paperwork?
In my opinion, it doesn't hurt,
Doesn't hurt nothing
no, because I'm gonna have to come back again,
on the last 900,000,
yeah.
but that may be way on down the line.
3 months
No, just leave it like it
from what they're telling,
is.
okay.
So it'd be, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got that. Any other discussion? J.P. Koger?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would just like to, I had asked if maybe someone could give us an update on the construction, maybe, and I made my request late because I was out of town. But before the next time, before they come and ask for more money, could we get an update like on the construction? We say we're a month ahead of schedule, but what does the schedule look like? What's been done and what are we looking, I just think that would be the public would like to know that too.
Absolutely. And we can have somebody come to these meetings, and you're welcome to come down and look at it yourself too, if you'd like to. I mean, that's kind of where it's at. I just want to address a couple things just to keep you guys in the know. We're not being coy by the money we're saving. Please remember that in the construction process, this is something that I've had to learn. I've gotten to learn a lot from Commissioner Johnson and working next to him, is we're operating in the contingency of the budget. So that number grows or shrinks depending on, we layered in contingency into this project. So we're very good in that contingency number right now, but of course, Commissioner Johnson oversees a project that could have unforeseen circumstances, and so that's why he's very cautious to give you guys that number right now. Every dollar for the EOC, of course, will be accounted for. You guys will be able to see every destination of those dollars when we're done. Also, Justice Ecke, with your permission, Chair's permission, I'd like to address your earlier question about grants. We've unfortunately hit a very difficult part in that. The grant window that we were hoping to apply for and hopefully receive was at the front end of this year. And we all know that the grant world is very different right now. And in fact, a lot of those are on hold. We were disappointed. We worked with Congressman Womack's office to get community project funding for this project. We didn't receive that type of funding. But subsequently, you can see too that if you pay attention to Congress, they passed those continuing resolutions as a budget. And so none of those projects got funded in our region. And so that was it was a detriment to all of us, but we didn't lose on that. I also want to remind you guys, as we look at the changes in the federal administration, what may be a uniquely consequential coincidence in time we're at is now you can see that there's noises about the federal administration and FEMA, and we can see that FEMA is being dialed back. So I don't know, there's talk and rumor that this would be the agency may be completely eliminated. I'm not sure, but we see a lot of their trainings and their funding opportunities right now being canceled and rolled back in the short term. And so what I want to say to you guys is thanks for having the foresight for the Emergency Operations Center with the ability that if they start returning those responsibilities to more of the local agencies and the local levels of government, we're going to have the state-of-the-art building to do that right here for our region. And I continue to remind you guys, we had a beautiful moment this weekend. Last Memorial Day, we had an opportunity to go help Benton County after their tornadoes. Our road department went up there and just helped clear roads and brush. Well, I'll be happy to report that this weekend we received a call from Benton County that said, hey, we really think we're in decent shape on flooding. If you guys are in bad shape, let us know and we'll be down there. The reason I'm bringing that up is the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, is not just for Washington County, and I hope you guys can appreciate that. That's an asset that we're going to open up to the whole region if they have needs, and then also we're going to do trainings down there for the whole region. And what I want to say is thank you for your foresight. Thank you for allowing us to collaborate, not just as a county, but as a region, because those individuals are, of course, the key to anything we need to do here. And so thank you. Thank you. And we'll get you a detailed update. You had asked about phases. I'm not really sure that Commissioner Johnson speaks in phases. He speaks in, let's get this done as efficiently and as quickly as possible. But for me, maybe in the layman, we're maybe past the first stage. That's the stage that I said would be, it would look very drastic. We have the building standing up now, and it's essentially got the roof on it, and it's going to be in the dry this week. And so then that's when it looks like it won't move as quickly, because we're going to be working on the inside. And of course, now there's a lot of conduit, a lot of miles and miles and miles of wiring to go in that building, and that's what we're going to start on in the next phase. And so it will look like it's moving slowly because all the walls are already stood up, but it will be moving very fast. And any questions any of you guys ever have, please feel free to reach out to our office.
J.P. Bruns?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did go down and look at the building, and I was terribly impressed with how well it flows, how well it's going to work for different entities. That is going to be a state-of-the-art that is going to be set in Washington County. You know, it's almost as good as us getting pay raises to top everybody in the state. So I think we have done very well. I commend the judge. I commend the OC guy. What's his name?
Luther?
John Luther has done a phenomenal job with this, and I was just real impressed with the flow and everything with it. It's a great asset. So.
J.P. Lemon?
I was just gonna help Lisa understand, most of the projects, when you start a project like that, you can't get grant money that a project's in progress. Is that good to say, Patrick? When a project started like that, it's hard to go back and get grant money for a project that's already in motion. You really, I've never been able to on the fire department side. I've tried, but once they tell you if you ever turn a screw, you're done with grants, and you're gonna have to fund it your own way from then on.
And I'm definitely not trying to jump in here, but that is very true. And so if you guys noticed, the grants we were trying to go over to obtain were on the tail end of the construction. So what we were really pursuing was a lot of FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, that type of thing. And unfortunately, those have just dried up on us.
Yeah.
We'll continue to beat the bushes. We'll continue to look for anything we can. This window's really starting to close now on grant funding.
A lot of grants are, like you're saying, is for training in the fire service and educating people in the fire service. A lot of that grant money is available, but on a project's already started, you probably have a hard time ever getting. But
yeah, and of course, Dr. Russell's fit to be tied right now. She's ready to pull her hair out with all this, just monitoring it. We're not making any determinations on the policy or the philosophy. We're just saying right now it's very frustrating to, of course, have a lot of these changes. She is seeing some initial grants that look like they've been reissued, like they've been reworked. It looks like they're reworking some things. And so that gives us the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, again, to just continue watching those grants and make sure there's not something that has never been offered before, because they're switching up, the administration's switching up the way they're going to fund these things. And so we'll continue to watch it. I have everybody on the team rabidly looking for every dollar we can find for this project, I guarantee you.
Thank you. J.P. Dennis?
Thank you, Chair. While we had you up here, this is a little bit off the subject, but not far off, but I was out doing a lot of driving this week, and I was getting to see, and I got picture after picture after picture of roads being flooded out and messed up. And funny thing is, I went out, took my pictures. When I came back, guess what? The road department was already there working on it. I didn't even get to call it in. And so, anyway, thank you very much for the road department. Pass it on to the road department. They're doing a good job.
I will. They worked very hard over the weekend. I'm sure you guys can understand to a certain extent we have to kind of batten down the hatches and wait until it's over with. But I'll report we did receive what I would consider light damage to a lot of our roads. The reason I say light, that's not light when that's that neighbor that lives on that road and has to drive over that. But we didn't lose any bridges. I believe we had one severe landslide that I would say down on Brentwood Mountain that washed out the road. We had it back up and running Monday afternoon. And we lost one wing wall on a bridge that we believe we can replace, but that bridge is not functionally impaired right now. And we'll continue to work on that. So a little bit of God's grace through this storm for you guys.
Well, I was impressed with what I saw.
Thank you,
I
sir.
really was.
We've put a lot of work into the road department, and you ladies and
there was a
gentlemen.
lot
have
of
put-
damage done.
Yep.
I mean, it was,
You ladies and gentlemen put a lot of work into the road department too, through funding and making sure that they have the supplies and tools they need, and we're seeing that. We had purchased a new large track hoe. Mr. Chairman, I know I'm off a little bit, but it seems like a collective interest here. We're glad to have that track hoe today, when that landslide happened out there on Brentwood Mountain, that we can have that machinery to go in and do that ourselves. And so I appreciate, once again, you ladies and gentlemen, supporting the road department.
Thank you. Any other discussion? So I have a motion to pass item number 8 onto the full quorum court to do pass recommendation by J.P. Ecke, seconded by J.P. Dean. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed? Okay, that will be passed on to the full quorum court to do pass recommendation. J.P. Dean,
Make a motion to put item 8 on the consent agenda.
just 8?
7 and 8?
7 and 8.
Yeah, 7 and 8.
So we have a motion to put items 7 and 8 on the consent agenda for the quorum court. Do I have a second? So we have a motion by J.P. Dean, a second by J.P. Ecke. All those in favor, aye? All those opposed? It passes. Next, we have citizens' comment, 3 minutes per person, total of 12. Do we, citizens have any comments they'd like to make? Seeing none, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. This meeting's adjourned.